If you thought everyone was waiting for a new pair of AirPods Max, you might be mistaken. The first pair of Beats Solo headphones were introduced in 2009. That was a year after the first Beats Studio headphones were introduced. There's quite an interesting timeline after that. So the Beats Solo 2 arrived 5 years later, and they were followed up by the Beats Solo 2 Wireless in 2015. They included the Apple W1 chip for the first time. And then we had the Beats Solo 3 Wireless, which arrived in 2016. And that is the last time we saw a new pair of Beats Solo, until today. These are the Beats Solo 4. So why has there been a massive 8-year gap in updating these headphones? Well, the first reason, I think, is because they are the best-selling Beats headphones ever. They've sold over 40 million Beats Solo headphones to date, so in fairness, why break what sells? But 8 years is a long time, so I would guess that quite a few people have been waiting for these. So 2 questions. Are these worth it? And should you go for these over the Beats Studio Pro? Before we get to that, although this video isn't sponsored, I do have some fantastic brand partners who help me keep the lights on and keep making these free videos. One of those partners is Brain FM. Brain FM is basically this app that pipes music into your head that makes you more productive. And I know that sounds like rubbish, but it isn't. It does work. At least it works for me, and I can't do any kind of deep work, writing, scripting, stuff where I need to really lock into what I'm doing. I can't do that without Brain FM. I used to use movie scores and classical playlists and that sort of stuff, but nothing hits home quite like Brain FM. And the best news is I've got a fantastic deal for you. So go and click that link. Okay, let's talk about the specs and the pricing of the Beats Solo 4. They feature a custom-designed, passively tuned dynamic diaphragm transducer with personalized spatial audio and dynamic head tracking. They've got upgraded beamforming mics and up to 50 hours of battery life with fast fuel, which is a fast charging technique, delivering 5 hours of playback after a 10-minute charge. They've got Bluetooth 5.3 with multi-point pairing and one-touch pairing for both Apple and Android. They also have Find My Device compatibility with both of those platforms. In terms of what's been changed over the Solo 3 Wireless, they've got 10 hours more battery life, the spatial audio, dynamic head tracking, and the addition of one-touch pairing for Android, along with Find My Device support on that platform. There's also hands-free Hey You Know Who support, and those mics are now digital rather than analog. But one of the most interesting switches is from the Apple W chip to what they call the Beats. Basically, they've gone from the Apple W1 chip to a Beats chip. Now, they did that with the Beats Studio Pro, and the reason for that is because they want that cross-device compatibility, so the ability to have one-touch pairing on both Apple and Android, and obviously you can't do that with an Apple W chip. The downside of that is that you don't get the automatic device switching on Apple devices, so AirPods Pro, AirPods Max, you can walk up to your Mac and they magically switch to that device, and then you pick up your iPhone and again you don't press anything, it just starts playing through the headphones. You don't get that with the chip in these headphones, but you do get that cross-device compatibility, and that is very unique in the market. When it comes to pricing, they are £199.95 in the UK, and you can get them from the 2nd of May. Let's talk about design and comfort, and I'm going to start with the case. And the reason for that is because it's absolutely fantastic. And the reason for that is because it's basically the same case that you get with the Beats Studio Pro, which is, it's my favorite headphone case ever. So many headphone manufacturers get this wrong, but Beats have absolutely nailed it. It is pretty much identical, certainly in terms of the size. So that's the Beats Studio Pro. This is the Beats Solo 4. It's the same size. The only difference is that in the Studio Pro case, you get an internal zipped compartment. You don't get that with these, but you do get the internal compartments for your cables and stuff. They fold properly as well. You put them in there, you zip it up. It's so convenient. The Beats Solo 4 do contain a lot of plastic because, well, they always have done, but it's decent plastic. It feels pretty robust. The folding mechanism feels good. They do feel like a pair of headphones that can take some stick, which is a good thing because they probably will. The actual design hasn't changed that much over the Beats Solo 3 wireless, apart from a little number 4 there obviously, and they've made some little changes here and there, but generally speaking these look like a pair of Beats Solo headphones, and they are incredibly light. They are 217 grams, so whether they're around your neck, which is often the case with Beats headphones, or on your head, you barely know they're there. And they come in 3 colours: matte black, slate blue, which is the version that I've been given to review, and cloud pink. Now, I'm not young enough or cool enough to show off Beats headphones, how they should look. It's quite handy that Beats have brought in Sha'Carri Richardson, Naomi Osaka, and Angel Reese, who are athletes. They can show you what these should look like around your neck and on your head. This is what Beats is all about. They're about the style, they're about the name, they're about the brand. In terms of comfort, these are on-ear headphones, so obviously they sit on your ears rather than cupping over your ears like the Beats Studio Pro. Now, that isn't my preferred style of headphones. I prefer to have my ears completely enveloped, if you like. These are pretty comfortable. They have enough, I think, enough cushioning on the ear cups. I could have a little bit more cushioning up here. I am follically challenged, as you can see, so I do like to have a bit more cushioning up on the old bonds, but I've worn these for long stretches of time and I've not been fatigued at all. So comfort-wise, I think they've nailed it. And that's partly because they're using the same memory foam as the Beats Studio Pro, and there's no touch controls. So instead, we get a big button here. That's for play, pause, answering the telephone, that sort of stuff. The telephone, that's how cool I am. Buttons for up and down volume. Very straightforward. No faffing around and pressing things by mistake. That's how you do it. The 50 hours of battery life, how they've got that out of this small frame, I have no idea, but again, it's very convenient. And if you're wondering, you can use these passively, so you can plug in the included 3.5mm headphone cable and not turn these on, and they still work. In terms of telephone calls, they work very well. I could hear the other person, they could hear me, no problems whatsoever. The Beats audio team have clearly been very busy with these headphones because they've got a completely upgraded acoustic architecture, the drivers are a custom design, and the arrangement of the transducer's voice coil has been improved and made to match the placement in loudspeakers. I've just read all of that from the spec sheet. Obviously, I don't know what most of it means, but clearly they've been busy. But there is one very interesting line in there where they say there's no active equalization applied to the Solo 4, so the acoustic transducer handles the tuning of the headphone mechanically and in its entirety, which basically means there's no EQ to play with on these headphones. What you get is what you get with the Beats Solo 4. So what do they sound like? Well, firstly, they are loud. Trust me, these headphones will cut through any noisy gym environment, and if you like your headphones to go loud, although please be careful with your hearing, guys, you're not going to have a problem with the Solo 4. It's a very bold sound. That's the best way to describe these headphones. There's loads of presence going on, loads of mid-range, which isn't my preferred choice when it comes to EQ, but it does deliver a consistent sound across genres, which is what Beats is trying to do with the Solo 4. They want these headphones just to work. The bottom end goes nice and low. They're actually pretty detailed as well. There's lots of stuff that you can hear going on. The soundstage is very wide. They're quite impressive when it comes to just nailing a very specific sound. And it's not the classic Beats bass in your face sound. It's just there. It's in your face a little bit, but it works for most types of music. I'd love the ability to EQ them a little bit just to reduce that mid-range and just level out the sound a little bit, but they're appealing to the mass market here. They're not going for audiophiles, obviously, although these do have lossless support via the USB port and the headphone jack, but these aren't a pair of audiophile headphones, and equally, these aren't made for people who get their headphones and immediately dive into the EQ. If that's you, these aren't for you. The Solo 4 basically sound how you'd expect them to sound. They're not as deep and rich and as rounded as the Studio Pro because they're cheaper. There's £150 price difference here. Equally, the Studio Pro are for a different audience. I like the fact that they've thrown in spatial audio audio and head tracking and Dolby Atmos, although again, I'm not convinced that the people who will buy the Solo 4 will use those features that often, but it's nice to know that if you put your Solo 4 on your head and start watching a movie on the Apple TV app, you're going to get the full experience. I think at this price point, that is a good thing. There's one thing I haven't mentioned yet, which is noise cancelling, and that's because they don't have noise cancelling. These aren't ANC headphones. That is what the Studio Pro are for. That said, the way these sit on your ears, there's not too much clamping force, but there's enough to block out the sound around you a little bit. So they do have fairly good passive noise cancelling. But just to reiterate, these are, I can't hear a thing, sorry. There you go. These aren't noise cancelling headphones. And yes, I do keep comparing these to these. So let's very quickly go through the major differences between these two headphones. Right, Solo 4 versus the Studio Pro. These are 150 quid more expensive. These go on your ears, these go around your ears. These have active noise cancelling, these don't. These have 10 hours more battery life than these. They have different drivers. These are 43 grams lighter than these, and you can really feel it. These have more cushioning all around than these, but they do use the same material. They're very different, which makes the buying process even easier. If your budget is pretty good and you want noise cancelling, just get these. If you want the lightest pair of Beats headphones and you don't want to spend too much money and you want the battery life to last for ages, get these. Right, let's move on to my conclusion. The big question is who should buy the Beats Solo 4, and it's a very simple answer. If you're thinking about buying, what am I talking about? You've gone for it, you've ordered these headphones already. You're probably watching this video just to justify that decision because you know that you want these, and that's what Beats does very, very well. They know their target market perfectly. And for the Beats Solo 4, it's people who don't want to spend 350 quid on a pair of these. They just want a pair of Beats headphones that are nice to look at, that go into a ridiculously convenient case. Everything about the Beats Solo 4 is about convenience. And no, they're not the best sounding headphones on the market. They don't have active noise cancelling, but it doesn't matter because they do what they're supposed to do very, very well. So let me know in the comments, are you going to go with the Beats Solo 4 or are you tempted by the Beats Studio Pro? And if you are tempted by these, keep watching for a link to my full review.